Hello, everyone. Welcome to Backyard Musings, broadcasting live from Apple Valley. I'm Steve.
And I'm Scott.
Thank you for joining us today. This morning, actually yesterday, a tranche of documents came out, Freedom of Information Act, and the major news outlets were picking it up this morning, so I grabbed it and ran with it, and so we're going to talk about it today. We joke about George Orwell's 1984 and how it appears as if the Biden-Harris idiocracy is doing things that seem to fit the ideas promoted by the state in that film, right? We've talked about that before. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of joking, but it's kind of serious, and it's like depressing.
Well, when they make it happen,
yeah,
that's when it's scary.
Yeah,
right?
And you think, gosh, this movie is just like, you know. So we talked about the Ministry of Truth, right? That movie had that, and
right.
How they're trying to control the narrative. Dems, domestic terrorism. You think I'm using hyperbole here? Remember that speech Biden gave in Philly during the evening where the backdrop was blood red?
Yeah.
Against a background with Marine Guards in the background?
Communist China red.
Yeah. So here it is. There's a shot with Biden and his fists clenched up, and, you know, here's another shot of another dictator in time.
Yeah.
You know?
He used red.
Yeah. I mean, the similarities are striking. And I all I did was a Google for about 3 minutes to see if I could come up with something close to that, and that's what I found. And it's crazy, and they tell us that we're a threat to democracy, MAGA supporters. That speech was September 1st, 2022. Remember, it was trying to whip up their base right before the midterms, right? Which kind of seemed to work because everybody expected a red tide, and that red tide turned into a fizzle.
Yeah, just a little trickle.
Yeah, so...
but it's still the idea that they would do that they would stoop to that kind of tactic, right? And especially with, you know, and let's face it, the Democrat Party has not been known for promoting the military. You know, they use it to their advantage. But to have those Marines in the background like that, like they were standing guard, like if there was anything that was going to, you know, go down or whatever.
Or like the Marines supported it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad sign.
And he described the ongoing threats to be MAGA Republicans in that speech, right? America First Legal has been securing tranches of documents from the federal government through the Freedom of Information Act. They reported that, like Friday, the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, at the direction of Mayorkas, put together a since disbanded DHS Intel group that included some of the Dirty 51, James Clapper and John Brennan.
Oh yeah, those are they're a pair.
The purpose was to reclassify political dissent under the guise of public health, empowering ordinary Americans to rat on their neighbors.
Nice. Isn't that nice?
No.
Yeah.
My Army buddies that are listening to this, when we studied Czech, when we were in the Army 30 years ago, that's what the Czech people used to do. That when the Soviets came in, they wanted the Czechs to rat on each other. You know, the pro-Soviet Czechs to rat on the not pro-Soviet Czechs. And it was like you couldn't trust your neighbor.
It's kind of like the DOJ tactics today, right? They get you on something, and then they put you in a room, and they say, hey, you know, this is what we got on you, but we're going to go after your son or your wife or your daughter or your girlfriend or whatever, and say, let's work a deal. You know? What is that? Like pretty slimy.
It is. We talk a little bit about this in this segment. We'll talk about that.
So this tranche of documents shows the Biden-Harris idiocracy classifies someone as a person likely to commit domestic violent extremism. So let's define that, right?
Yeah.
They have declared Trump supporters, like MAGA, right, as enemies of the state instead of groups
the Republicans.
Yep, but instead of groups that actually do harm, like Antifa. You know, I mean, again, all you got to do is look at the media, burn buildings.
Mostly peaceful protests, they called it.
Yeah, you know, beating on people. I mean, even people like
police cars
press,
on fire.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and remember, this is another notable character in this cartoon. Remember how Jerry Nadler explained that Antifa was a myth?
Yeah, I remember that.
Kidding me?
When the reporter was following him, and he finally stopped. Antifa's a myth.
Yeah, it's a myth. I mean, come on. Tell that to Antifa. You know, see if they think they're a myth. I can't even lump him in with Mazie Hirono or Harry Reid.
No.
I mean,
It's a special class.
Yeah, he's
Nadler.
He's a character.
He is.
He's a dangerous character.
Piece.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a special kind of stupid. The second tranche of documents classifies someone as a person likely to commit domestic violence, extremism attacks, particularly those who, 1, support President Trump, 2, are in the military, or 3, are religious.
I'm all 3 on that one.
And
I'm all 3. I haven't gone and burned something down.
Sorry about that.
I haven't burned something down.
Yeah, I'm a Trump supporter, and I claim to be a religious guy. I claim to be a Christian. And so, is it like a twofer? You get 2 out of the 3? Are you in that group? I mean...
Yeah, deplorables. These are deplorables here.
So what are they going to do? Are they going to send the IRS against us? Or, FBI?
Or your family?
Yeah.
Lawfare?
Exactly.
Like use legal sorcery to put, giving the person, I'll find you the crime?
Yeah, exactly. So it's starting to make sense the more against... the move against people even looking at the Planned Parenthood centers with the stink eye.
Right. If you're looking... Not necessarily going to pray, just go over there and look at it, and they're going to arrest you. They're going to come guns blazing to your house in front of your kids. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, this is out of control. So
it is out of control.
Yeah, President Trump says they're not after me, they're after you.
How dare they?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Trump personifies, wanting to do good and turn it around, and patriotism. He personifies that. And the Trump derangement syndrome people, they can't get past that. They cannot get past it.
Yeah, I don't know what their deal is with this guy. I really don't. I guess we've said on this show a few years ago, he was one of their party goers, right?
Yeah. A decade ago, maybe 15 years ago, he was like a registered Democrat.
Yeah. Well, and even
Clinton went to Clinton's
daughter's wedding.
Daughter's wedding, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So,
okay, when you Google, so I did a little research today. When you Google domestic terrorism, one of the links is a website called USA Facts. Right, it seems like a propaganda website, and the United States GAO, Government Administration Office. Right, USA Facts quotes the GAO. These acts appear to be intended to 1, intimidate or coerce a civilian population. Talking about domestic terrorism. Influence the policy of a government or mass destruction or coercion, or 3, affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. So what immediately came to mind was that Portland federal building that was under siege for over a month, and federal officers were trying to protect it, and those people came out organized with they weren't like the army, but without having army training, they had like body armor, they were in black, they had these black umbrellas so that if they sprayed, they could block the spray. They took frozen water bottles and bricks, and they were throwing it at them.
That could be considered a weapon, right?
Yes.
Frozen water bottle?
Yes, just chucking it over to try and hit someone, and laser pointers to blind.
Yeah. And what about that area in Seattle that
Chaz
group took over?
Chaz.
It took over, yeah. I mean, what about all those businesses that were in that section? Yeah,
for that mostly peaceful protest.
Exactly. I mean, they took it over. They weren't even allowing people to come in. I mean, I believe somebody died because an ambulance couldn't get in there in time. It's nuts. This is nuts.
It's crazy. Okay, continuing on what the government website says. These individuals and groups are separated into 5 different threat categories, which help officials understand the motives of criminal actors better. These categories include, we're going to go one by one, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremism. Okay? First thing popped into my head was that trans person in Tennessee, right? That had the manifesto and went to her school, his school, whatever, its school, and started shooting people. And the police would not release that manifesto. It took like a whistleblower to secretly get it and send it, and get it out to the public.
And if for some reason, I want to say that they didn't even release the gender of that person for a while either, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, they
didn't want to say it was trans.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Another thing that came to mind.
Why are they keeping all that kind of stuff? I mean, obviously it's out now, but why did they try to protect that? Because it didn't fit the narrative of the day?
Now that you're saying that, just yesterday, the AP was reporting that girl that was the 12-year-old girl that was lured under that bridge in Houston that was killed by the 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela.
Right.
The AP was reporting that there were 2 Latin suspects. Said their names and everything. Didn't say that they were illegal aliens. Did not. Kind of an important thing to omit, you know?
Exactly.
And then after they got barraged by conservative people saying, hey, you missed something here, they never updated it.
Why do they have to keep that from?
Because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Right.
The Ministry of Truth, 1980, George Orwell, the party, you know?
Yeah.
It just reminds me when I was talking with my oldest brother, he was bashing Trump, and I'm saying, dude, you're like, you got it all wrong, man. It's Biden and his administration idiocracy that's anti-democratic and a threat. Okay, next one. Anti-government or anti-authority violent extremism. Anti-government. That's Antifa. Anti-authority?
Do you see anybody? I mean, we don't have any groups that I know of that
Well,
are
like
like Hamas,
the Proud
or
Boys.
Hezbollah. Proud Boys, yeah, but
that's
you know,
not,
I think
I don't condone them.
I
Any
do not
violence at
condone
all.
them. I do not condone them. But, you know, I've seen at least some of the stuff that I've seen of them. And again, I don't condone them. I don't know that much about them. But when I usually see them, they're usually in some kind of a conflict with Antifa.
Right.
Or with
opposing,
the far
left.
Some left side group versus a right side group. And
But that don't make it right.
no, it doesn't.
No, not at all.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, animal rights and environmental violent extremism. Okay, well, what about, animal rights? What about the people that go to the Mona Lisa and try and throw paint on it, or soap, or Stonehenge, you know?
Any kind of destruction like that is just, it's...
Even like tearing down the statues, you know? It's trying to rewrite the history.
Exactly. I mean, history is history, whether you're looking at it in a statue or a painting or a picture. I mean, you can't get rid of the idea of it. And so why are they doing that? Why are they taking it to that extreme?
Iconoclasts, trying to tear it down.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, abortion-related extremism. Really? Abortion-related extremism. You ask me, abortion is extreme in itself.
Right. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah. You know, abortion in some states is right up to the time of birth. And then even after that, it's left up to a discussion.
Let's keep the baby comfortable, and then let's have a discussion.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, if you're going to do that, why don't we wait about 8 or 9 years and ask the kid if they want to be offed?
Ridiculous. You know? And then the Dems, they are against the death penalty. I mean, they do not want it for someone who's murdered people, right? But this innocent child that's growing in a mother's womb, it's called pro-choice. Well, you had a choice to use a condom or birth control.
Right.
You know?
And again, the from what I understand, the adoption situation right now is that they're on the low end, right? People want to adopt kids. They can't have them naturally. So that's an alternative.
It is a viable alternative.
Right.
All other domestic terrorist threats with agendas such as personal grievances, that sounds like soccer moms, or bias related to religion, that sounds like preying on Planned Parenthood sidewalks, gender or sexual orientation. These are all slanted towards, one thing. All these people who go against the narrative. That's all this is slanted towards.
There's 3 words that come to my mind that have really been used crazily lately. Okay. One of them obviously is extremism. The other one is terrorism, okay, and racism. Yeah. Those 3 words are out of control.
Divisive,
How do you define those words anymore? I mean, you can't even talk about anything, depending on who you're talking to, and not have one of those words thrown at you.
That's the beauty of it. You define it. It's your truth, right?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yes. It's important. Here's the follow-up paragraph to this website. This is a quote from the website. It's important to note that rather than being charged with domestic terrorism, prosecutors use other federal and state charges to prosecute people indicted in federal domestic terrorism-related cases. What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
What the heck does that mean?
Talk about a broad base. Oh my gosh.
It's like we'll throw it, like you were saying earlier. Go after families. You find someone, then you put them in that interrogation cell, and then you leverage them Okay, tell me about your family. Tell me about this or that. We're going to go after your family if you don't tell us what's up. If you don't admit to this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know anybody that would want to see their family raked over.
So it's almost like you got to capitulate, right. Unless you've got the money to pony up with lawyers.
Yeah.
The average Joe doesn't have it. Not in this economy.
The average Joe does not.
Not up in here.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that.
All right. Sorry for such the dour news today, but
yeah, so
it was trending.
Monday we're going to get back on Trump, right?
Yeah, Monday we're on Trump,
so
26 through 30.
Yeah.
Trump Agenda 47, items 26 through 30. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. We'll see you Monday.
Have a great rest of the weekend. Thank you.